Good morning, everyone. Bună ziua. I'm Lara Sanzanin, the head of the EIB Group in Romania, and I am pleased to welcome here to the launch event of the InvestEU, a program that the EIB Group developed together with the European Commission. I will welcome also all the participants that couldn't make it to be physically here. They are online, so we have quite a good attendance and we are very pleased with the response we got. There is a lot of expectation in the market about this instrument, and so we are happy to kick it off. I will not use any of your time and also of our dear guests here, and I will invite Minister Câciu to open the works today. We are very pleased that the Ministry of Finance is also part of our event. Please.
Thank you. Mulțumesc. Stimate domnule vicepreședinte, stimați domni directori, onorată audiență, îmi face deosebită plăcere să fiu prezent astăzi la evenimentul de lansare în România a programului InvestEU. Am convingerea că acesta va reprezenta o oportunitate excelentă de a descoperi de-a lungul zilei detalii privind acest instrument implementat cu susținerea bugetului Uniunii Europene prin intermediul instituțiilor financiare internaționale și a instituțiilor financiare naționale de dezvoltare și promovare. Ne bucurăm de prezența specialiștilor din cadrul grupului Băncii Europene de Investiții și ai Comisiei Europene și vă asigurăm de preocuparea Ministerului de Finanțe pentru dezvoltarea durabilă a economiei în România în scopul creșterii contribuției investițiilor. Traiectoria de consolidare bugetară se axează în principal pe susținerea investițiilor publice, cu precădere din fonduri europene nerambursabile, pe îmbunătățirea colectării și pe reducerea ponderii în PIB a cheltuielor permanente. După cum este cunoscut, în contextul declanșării pandemiei de COVID-19 în martie 2020 și a izbucnirii conflictului din Ucraina în februarie 2022, o problemă stringentă cu efecte negative considerabile apărută la nivelul economiei a fost reticența sau abordarea conservatoare a instituțiilor de credit de a finanța mediul privat, în special companiile autohtone. Cred că împreună am reușit să trecem peste această reticență și să finanțăm puternic economia românească, iar acest lucru se vede și în rezultatele obținute de România în ultimii 2 ani, în care am revenit la nivelul prepandemic de creștere economică. Dată fiind activarea pe perioada 2020-2022 a clauzelei generale derogatorie de la prevederile Pactului de Stabilitate și Creștere, România a amânat cu 1 an intrarea pe o traiectorie de ajustare bugetară, tocmai pentru a permite o politică fiscală expansionistă care să stimuleze economia afectată de criza COVID-19. La nivelul activității de creditare s-a înregistrat o înăsprire a condițiilor de finanțare, în special pentru categoriile de clienți mici și mijlocii, intermedierea financiară în favoarea acestora fiind îngreunată atât de acești factori exogeni, cât și de factori endogeni, respectiv lipsa rentabilității activității, capitalizare deficitară a companiilor, istoricul negativ și alți factori. Astfel, în vederea continuării în mod optim a activității economice, Guvernul României a implementat politici care au sprijinit activitatea de creditare destinată categoriilor de clienți cei mai vulnerabili, respectiv întreprinderi mici și mijlocii, prin acordarea de garanții în nume și constat în favoarea instituțiilor de credit ce acordă finanțare beneficiarilor eligibili. Recent am lansat programul IMM Invest Plus, vizând acordarea până la sfârșitul anului de garanții către mediul privat de până la 4 miliarde de euro. Nu doar în cazul firmelor românești, ci și la nivelul Uniunii Europene există un deficit considerabil de finanțare. Din acest motiv, în mod similar, dar complementar, acordarea de garanții se poate realiza la nivel al Uniunii Europene prin programul InvestEU, în situațiile în care sunt observate deficiențe ale pieței, atunci când sistemul financiar bancar nu poate desfășura activitatea de creditare fără intervenția publică. Mobilizarea capitalului sectorului privat poate contribui la eficiența și productivitatea economiei românești. De aceea dorim să invităm mediul privat să se informeze și să acceseze și finanțările europene rambursabile dacă se potrivesc planurilor de afaceri. Beneficiile acordării de garanții, fie la nivel național, fie la nivel european, sunt multiple pentru toți actorii implicați în acest proces. Companiile private au acces la resursele necesare desfășurării activității curente și implementării planurilor de dezvoltare, în timp ce instituțiile de credit pot acorda un volum de credite mai ridicat în condițiile menținerii riscului la un nivel adecvat. Referitor la finanțările din programul InvestEU, veți descoperi că în ceea ce privește accesarea acestora, criteriile de eligibilitate și natura proiectelor sunt diferite de cele pentru fondurile europene nerambursabile. Finanțările sunt însă planificate în mod complementar. Respectiv, dacă la începutul duratei de viață un proiect eligibil are nevoie să fie sprijinit cu grant, fonduri europene nerambursabile sau scheme de ajutor de stat finanțate din bugetul de stat, ulterior proiectul, devenit viabil din punct de vedere financiar, poate beneficia de un acces mai facil la finanțare prin garanțiile oferite prin programul InvestEU. În același timp, pentru întregirea finanțării, un proiect valoros poate atrage surse de finanțare rambursabile și nerambursabile. Ministerul Finanțelor va utiliza și în viitor mecanismele avute la dispoziție pentru sprijinirea creditării mediului privat, obiectivul dezvoltării unei economii performante fiind condiționat de existența unei intermedieri financiare optime. Astăzi veți afla cum poate grupul Băncii Europene de Investiții să implementeze programul InvestEU în România. Uitându-ne spre viitor, doresc să ofer un semnal clar de interes ca și instituții financiare internaționale să devină parteneri de implementare ai Comisiei Europene. Fondul Național de Garantare a Creditelor pentru Întreprinderile Mici și Mijlocii a demarat deja procesul de evaluare în acest scop. În plus, înființarea Băncii Naționale de Dezvoltare reprezintă un element cheie prin obiectivul de facilitare a accesului la finanțarea firmelor din sectoare cu disfuncționalități. Chiar săptămâna viitoare vom aproba înființarea primei Bănci Naționale de Dezvoltare a României. Urmarea adoptării de către Parlament a legii care reglementează cadrul general aplicabil Băncii Naționale de Dezvoltare, suntem în măsură să luăm această decizie la nivel guvernamental. Îmi exprim încrederea că Banca Europeană de Investiții va deveni principalul partener al Băncii Naționale de Dezvoltare, așa cum o face și în alte state membre. În încheiere, îmi exprim speranța că evenimentul de astăzi reprezintă doar punctul de plecare pentru o utilizare optimă a produselor InvestEU și în țara noastră, învățând din experiența implementării Fondului European pentru Investiții Strategice. Dorim să vedem rezultate și ceea ce vă încurajez este să discutăm deschis și să avem un schimb constructiv de opinii. Vă mulțumesc!
Thank you very much, Minister. Now I will invite to have his opening speech the Vice President of the EIB, Ketter Thomsen.
Thank you very much, Lara, and thank you to Minister Câciu and our governor. It's an honor that you would also be part of this opening of this great program. So, and Director Casoni from the Commission. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. It's a very great pleasure for me to be here in Bucharest for this InvestEU event. We believe that this program is another example of the very successful cooperation between the European Commission and the EIB Group. Also, it arrives at a difficult time for Europe. The COVID pandemic has put a strain on our economies. The Russian invasion of Ukraine have serious consequences in many areas, including refugees, energy and food prices, and it holds back the recovery after COVID. And amid all these extraordinary circumstances, we should not forget climate change. That is why a strong European response is needed. And thanks to our unity of purpose, we have to have the chance to give a pan-European response to challenges that are too big to be solved with a national approach only. Also yesterday, I met Minister Câciu and his team to report on progress of the EIB Group in Romania. And we also discussed the EIB Group role in the many and very large European financing opportunities that are open to Romania in these years. The PNNR, the structural funds, the modernization fund, and the InvestEU program. These funds make it possible for Romania to increase investments to stimulate long-term growth, while at the same time pursuing balanced fiscal policy goals. And while the other funds are mainly targeted investment in the public sector, InvestEU is primarily focused on private sector companies, and in this way, they complement each other. And we at the European Investment Bank Group are very proud to be a strategic partner of the European Commission in implementing InvestEU. And just for clarification, the EIB Group consists of both the bank and the European Investment Fund, EIF, which have a particular focus on supporting SMEs and equity funds. Director Cottogni will later go into more detail on the EIF role in this program. Sorry. InvestEU has been designed by the European Union to help build a greener, a more digital, and a more resilient European economy. It replaces a number of EU programs and brings together under one roof the old European Fund for Strategic Investments and 13 other EU financial instruments. It uses a financial guarantee from the Union budget to attract private investments to strategic priority areas. And its 26 billion worth of guarantees will allow the European Investment Bank Group and other financial institutions to grant loans and other kinds of financing to projects and companies that, from a banking perspective, carries a relatively high risk. And the EIB Group will manage 75% of these guarantees. Our experience is that this type of risk mitigation allows the multiplication of financial resources to achieve the set policy objectives, and it reduces the perceived risk for private investors and thereby crowding in private capital. InvestEU will support investments along four policy windows. The first is sustainable infrastructure. Second is research, innovation, and digitalization. The third is small and medium-sized enterprises. And last, social investments and skills. Across these four windows, it has a very strong climate focus. And for the entire InvestEU, at least 30% of the investments will go towards climate change mitigation and/or adaptation. And concretely, the EIB Group will deploy InvestEU for various types of products. Direct loans to particular corporate counterparties planning to invest in the policy priorities targeted by the program. Project finance, which is more typical in risky, innovative, and technology projects. Venture debt products for innovative small and medium-sized enterprises and startups. And this very popular product enables the owners of growth companies to get financing without diluting their shareholdings. Also, portfolio guarantees to banks who can then use this to generate a large number of smaller loans to smaller companies. And last, equity investments into funds, which targets small and medium-sized enterprises and mid-caps, infrastructure, and green investment. The overall economic impact of InvestEU will be transformative. Its predecessor, the European Fund for Strategic Investments, mobilized investments of more than 500 billion euros across the EU, and it supported the creation of an additional 1.8 million jobs. And for Romania, EIB Group financing amounted to more than 1 billion and supported investments of more than 5 billion euros. InvestEU will focus on operations with a higher risk profile compared to average EIB Group business and on projects that would be hard to complete without this. It will enable us to support bold ideas and innovative technologies, shifting the growth to new, green, and digital sectors. And we believe that the program is actually particularly relevant here in Romania, where the EIB Pan-European Investment Survey from last year showed us declining innovation activities by firms, both compared to previous years in Romania, but also compared to EU peers. Moreover, relatively many firms in Romania seem to be quite constrained in their access to external finance, and the cost of funding is over double the EU average. This high cost of funding seems to be mainly driven by a low risk appetite and high risk perception of Romanian banks, and compounded by a market with many undercapitalized and recently established companies. And we believe that InvestEU addresses, in fact, exactly these challenges as it helps mitigating the risk profile of companies and their projects by offering financial guarantees. Another key feature of InvestEU is the InvestEU Advisory Hub. Under this hub, the EIB and the European Commission will cooperate to provide technical, financial, and strategic advisory support to project promoters, regional and national authorities, and banks. Working across all four of the InvestEU policy windows, the Advisory Hub will support the identification, preparation, development, structuring, and implementation of investment projects. And compared to earlier programs, services related to financial advisory will be enhanced. The EIB Group advisory offer will also provide more advisory assistance to EIF activity in support of the two windows, SMEs and research, innovation, and digitalization, as well as microfinance and social and skills-related investments. And speaking about microfinance, we're looking very much forward to this first InvestEU operation to be signed today in Romania. This agreement between the EIF and the Banco Transilvania microfinance division that will come later today. In the next panels, you will discuss concrete ways in which InvestEU can be of benefit in Romania. And we look very much forward to cooperate with the government and banks to maximize visibility of InvestEU's opportunities in the market. My team tells me that banks and companies in Romania have already showed quite an interest in InvestEU. And the EIF InvestEU calls have been well attended by Romanian applicants from the fund business sector in particular. So we believe that actually all ingredients are in place for InvestEU to become a success in Romania. Before ending, let me also thank the European Commission and the EU representation here in Romania for the support in organizing this event. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. When we organized this event, we really wanted to have all the speakers coming in person to Bucharest, and we are very pleased that Giorgio Chiarion Casoni made his way to Romania. And please, thank you for coming and joining in person, George.
Thank you, Lara, and really thanks a lot for the EIB that together with us has organized this very good event. And I would also like, it's an honor to be here also with the Minister of Finance, Câciu, that has an impressive knowledge, I must say, of the InvestEU and project development, much more than I expected. And also Vice President Ketter Thomsen that presented very clearly the InvestEU program overall, and also the EIB Group delivery on that. As you know, the EIB is the core partner for us, and it's the only partner with the EIB and EF with whom we have already signed a guarantee agreement and that has already started deploying the program. And also, I would like to. It's very good to be here with Hubert Cottogni, with whom we cooperated since several years, if not decades, between EIF and the Commission. So I'm very glad to be here with him. So as Vice President said, the InvestEU is really a joint achievement between the Commission, the European Investment Bank Group, and the Parliament and Council, and this is a core program that comprehends, because it includes all the programs that were previously delivered under the EFSI, and also financial instruments is grouped all together, and now it's a much more coherent program that is at the service of member states and countries. And this is very important because it's the only program really focused on private investment. I mean, a lot has been done over the last 2 years in European economies to help stabilizing the economy after the pandemic, and now the unfortunate Russian invasion of Ukraine that has created a lot of discomfort for the European social and economic circumstances. But governments and the union have delivered a lot during this period, a lot of programs. First, also national programs, also thanks to the temporary state aid framework release that allowed countries to support SMEs in particular and companies in this very difficult moment, but also thanks to the union that has designed a very innovative and very powerful programs like RRF, InvestEU, and others. So now the economic situation is not necessarily improving. On the contrary, the summer forecast of the Commission presents very high risk of not only of inflation, this we already have. For example, in Romania, I think in July we touched something like 13%, but this is in line with the other European countries, but also in terms of growth. So we are going to expect certainly a decrease of growth compared to expectations early in the year. Actually, Romania, according to what my colleagues tell me in my directorate ECFIN, tell me that in the first half of the year, Romania faced relatively well compared to the other EU countries, because there was in the first quarter, I think more than 5% growth, and in the second quarter, more than 2%. And it is expected that this year still the growth will be in the order of 4%, which is quite remarkable. In 2023, in line with all the others, sort of slower growth is expected, but still on the positive with around 3% growth. And inflation will remain very high in this year, and hopefully will decrease in next year. So this is let's say it is a very challenging economic environment. This is due, as also Vice President said, due to the results of the pandemic, but also of the high energy prices and supply disruptions that are happening in Europe. And one of the most important tools that all countries can and have deployed is the RRF, so the Recovery and Resilience Facility. Let me say a few words, because very happy that finally, after the request for disbursement made by Romania at the end of May, the Commission has provided a positive assessment of that request of 2.6 billion, and this will lead probably after the ITER, the procedural ITER in Economic Financial Committee and Parliament and so on, will lead to a disbursement possibly end of October or early November. And this is very important because these are critical resources that are supporting the European economy. And there were, if I'm not wrong, so some 20 or 21 milestones and targets. And I'm very proud that among the very important ones, like sustainable transport, decarbonization, education, and so on, but a key target was, and I look also at colleagues with whom we negotiated at length, is the deployment of financial instruments in Romania. And this is remarkable because InvestEU was at the core of that, and one of the milestone and target was indeed the signature of a contribution agreement of the Romanian RRF to the InvestEU, and this was done in good time and was one of the key targets that was achieved and allowed all this to happen. And Romania, let me say, has been the first to conclude a contribution agreement. So it not only it was an important step for us, but also paved the way for other countries to join later, and it set a little bit the benchmark compared to others. So it has been a bit a troublesome journey, but we make it, and made it also with colleagues of EIF and of Romania, in particular of Romanian government, and this really is something we should be all proud of. This is the amount is around 671 million, which is a remarkable amount of guarantee, of which 500 from RRF and then 170 out of contingent liabilities. But this is an additional funds of guarantees that go to Romania on top of what is already available under the European compartment of InvestEU. So, and this will be delivered mostly by DIF, thanks to two guarantee programs for SME competitiveness and sustainability guarantee, and also partly by the EBRD, which will be our next partner with whom we hope to sign the guarantee agreement. This will be implemented once let's say we now that we signed the contribution agreement, now it's a matter to implement it in a guarantee agreement with the EIF and EBRD. Well, I think Vice President Ketter Thomsen has explained very well the InvestEU program, so I'm not going here to repeat, but I just want to highlight that among the four windows that compose the InvestEU program, Obviously, the sustainability one is very important alongside SMEs and innovation, but we don't have to forget the social window, which has more or less the double of resources as compared to the predecessor instrument, which is quite a lot for social investment and skills. We already helped a lot Romania in the past, also through advisory in this social area and investment. But now I'm very glad that, in fact, one of the first transactions to be signed by the EIF today will be precisely the microfinance deal here in Romania. And this is a proof that there is a lot to do in this area, in particular under the current economic circumstances, and that we not only have to help the economic, the private and so on, but also the social investment in education, health, and social housing and student housing and whatever we can in this very period. So I would probably like to stop here and give the floor to Lara again, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Giorgio.
Thank you
very much. So indeed, although in the market sometimes we are shortened as EIB, we are de facto a group, EIB Group, made of the European Investment Bank and European Investment Fund, which doesn't need presentation in Romania because it's very well welcomed by the market and recognized for its role in developing the equity and the guarantee market in this country. Hubert Cottogni from the EIF will dive in a bit more on the role of the EIF under the InvestEU program. Hubert.
Lara, thank you very, very much. To engage in InvestEU and to top InvestEU up with substantial amounts would not have been possible if we as the European Investment Fund and the European Investment Bank wouldn't have had over years such a strong cooperation and partnership. And Minister, I would like to, as the representative of Romania, full-heartedly thank you for the trust which you have again proven to the European Investment Bank Group, in particular also with the signature of the member state compartment. You have engaged with the Commission and us in something which is ice-breaking, and this takes courage, and the courage can only come if you have the trust that the partnership will work over the years to come. I'm standing here for the EIF, and I will guarantee you that we will do the utmost to implement it, because who needs it most are indeed the SMEs. The SMEs, when we set out InvestEU, we were overthinking about the twin transition. We have to help the SMEs in their twin transition, i.e. make them green and make them digital and make this all in a social manner. Now, obviously, the challenges of all SMEs, but in particular Romanian SMEs, is even increased, and we have heard the various reasons for this. So the InvestEU European envelope, together with the Romanian envelope, is for me the real basis, not only to help SMEs in this transition throughout the years to come, and here also technical assistance, we will talk about this in the conference later, will play a particular role, because we will have to work with the financial intermediaries in such a way to have a common understanding what means green transition, what means digital, and what means social. So we have to help the banks and financial instruments to understand commonly with us what enterprises must do and shall do in order to not only become green, but also grow. So for me, standing here today is indeed a big, big day. Not only that we have signed after many years InvestEU with the Commission earlier this year, but we are about to sign, and the Commission is about to sign, and then later we will sign with the Commission the guarantee agreement for this increased contribution. Let me just mention a couple of figures, why I'm confident that we can do the job. We started off in 2004 with the first guarantee operation in Romania. Since 2010, we are in very close cooperation with the Romanian authorities on various mandates, and they have entrusted us I can say literal billions of euros, which we have implemented. And we have, via this implementation, reached out to well over 50,000 SMEs, which is more than 10% of all Romanian SMEs in Romania. We have, and that's also very important, seen that the average loan size and investment sizes are relatively small. So that means we are reaching out really to all SMEs, also in particular the micro enterprises. So we have understood since 2010 the market really well, and we are now ready to go the next level up, which means to help these SMEs in the transition. Because, and that is quite clear, if the 25 million SMEs in Europe are not going to embark with us on the green transition, we will all fail. And therefore, I'm happy that you entrust us in designing with you this journey, helping the SMEs to become greener and more competitive. Thank you very much for the cooperation and the trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Hubert. We have finished now with the high-level speeches, and we will start the more technical session. Before we do that, let me thank all the people who intervene, and a special thank you to Minister Câciu that made space in his busy agenda to be with us today. We meet more or less quarterly at eye level, and he always pays attention to the private sector and what we do also for the private sector. And we are very grateful to him for his leadership on this agenda. Thank you. Mulțumesc foarte mult, domnul ministru. I will allow for the change, and I will ask Alina Tanasa to come to the table. A small, let's say, if someone needs a translation, dacă aveți nevoie de traducție, are equipment acolo, da? Dacă vreți, nu este obligatoriu. So we will start now the more technical presentations. We will have first the European Commission, ECFIN, to introduce the program. And then we, as you could have seen from the agenda, we have two blocks. Block one, which will be presenting the EIB products under InvestEU. And after the coffee break, block two, the EIF products under InvestEU. Before we conclude the morning session, as the Vice President and Hubert referred to, we will have the first signature of the first InvestEU operation with Microfinantare, and we are very happy to be able to do this. I think it was a record time deployment for once. We can show that we can do it. And then we will have a small meeting with the press, which is restricted for the journalists. And in the meantime, you can enjoy the lunch in the nearby restaurant, I mean, here in the hotel. And for the afternoon session, we will have two side events, which are meant to be more workshop type of events. Every question is welcome, every clarification. We have heard also from Mr. Casoni how many products we are deploying. So you are allowed to be confused, so to say. And here today, the event is really to clarify a bit. We hope that we will be able to do so. So Alina, you prefer to speak from there, and we also are ready for this. So Alina Tanasa from ECFIN. Thank you for joining us from Luxembourg. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. Good morning, everybody. Bună dimineața tuturor. I'm very happy to be here today. I don't know if they see can somebody also show the slides on the screen, because otherwise it will be a little bit difficult. I have already put the slideshow. Okay, thank you. So I'm very happy to be here today to present in the next 15 minutes, more or less, the InvestEU program. About which you have already heard a couple of facts. I'll try not to repeat what was said earlier, but still I do have to underline that The InvestEU is building on the positive experience we had with the investment plan for Europe, and in particular with the EFSI, European Fund for Strategic Investments, which with the help of an EU guarantee of 6 billion and EIB contribution of 7.5 billion, managed to actually mobilize almost 525 billion over the investment period. This consists of both infrastructure projects and investment supporting the access to finance, so for SMEs, and almost 1.5 million SMEs have already are expected to benefit from this the EFSI support. I think you have already heard this figure earlier, but indeed the EFSI has received more already from the EIB. Thank you. More than 1 billion euro of financing, which is expected to trigger about 5.3 billion in additional private and public investments. These are more or less evenly split between the infrastructure and innovation projects, with 2.7 billion expected investment, and the SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, where we see that about 50,000 SMEs and mid-caps are expected to benefit, Romanian SMEs and mid-caps are expected to benefit from this improved access to finance. And last but not least, we are getting to the InvestEU soon. I have also included here two very good examples of where the EFSI has supported the Romanian country. And both of them being in EU policy priorities, which are very relevant even today. One of them is related to the 7.5 million financing the EIB has provided to green fiber. A company producing recycled PET fibers used in furniture, cars, or construction. And besides the almost 300 additional jobs created, it is expected actually to increase the amount of waste collected and processed in Romania by over 50,000 tons a year. Some of you may be familiar with the second example, and this is the Brua pipeline. In this case, the EIB has providing 100 million euro financing under the EFSI to Transgaz, to build a new European gas transmission corridor, increasing the security of gas supply in the country, and also reducing the energy dependence by diversifying these sources. This project actually benefits from another EU instrument that you may know, the Connecting Europe facility, under which 179 million are provided. Now, we finally arrived to the InvestEU program. You heard already my predecessors presenting it quite a lot, so I'll just stick to the facts. So it's the new investment support program at the level of the EU under the current MFF, the multi-annual financial framework, covering 2021 to 2027, and it is created to support sustainable growth in different policy areas, which were mentioned earlier. But the key components you can see here, the InvestEU is based on 3 mutually reinforcing pillars: the InvestEU fund, providing the EU guarantee for financing; the InvestEU advisory hub, providing the project development related technical assistance and advisory support; and last but not least, the InvestEU portal, which is our visibility and networking platform for EU-based project promoters and global investors. Before moving on, I just wanted to underline that actually the InvestEU is part of the Next Generation EU that you may have heard about. It is the 800 billion temporary instrument for recovery that the Commission has put forward. And a big part of the InvestEU funds are covered from Next Generation EU funds. The InvestEU fund is the first pillar of the program. As mentioned earlier, it is actually building on the positive experience we had with EFSI, but it is an umbrella covering also other, putting together other financial instruments implemented in the previous MFF under programs such as CEF or Horizon 2020 or ECFIN. The InvestEU fund will provide the budgetary guarantee, EU budgetary guarantee of 26.2 billion. And with the help of our financial partners, it is expected to mobilize 372 billion in additional private and public investment across the EU. It is to be implemented, of course, with the help of our major partner, the EIB, which will implement 75% of the guarantee, but also 25% of this guarantee will be available and can be accessed by national promotional banks and institutions, and also international financial institutions such as the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the Council of Europe Bank, or Nordic Investment Bank. I was very happy to hear earlier from the minister that Romania will make a big step next week, and the first Romanian Development Bank will be available, will start working, and I hope it will be also able to use the InvestEU soon. Now, just to underline, there are no grants available under the InvestEU. It provides only loans, guarantees of equities, and the operations are to be approved by the usage of the EU guarantee is approved by the InvestEU Investment Committee, composed of independent experts. The investment committee is already set up since spring and has already approved more than 50 operations. There will be the signature of the first operation later today, but maybe also for your information, there are actually 3 operations under the member state compartment already in preparation. And earlier this month, the investment committee has already approved 2 of them. A few words about the functioning of the InvestEU. So if we start from the left side of the slide, the 26 billion guarantee mentioned earlier represent the EU compartment, and it's available to and will cover investment across the whole EU, including Romania. But there is also the possibility for the member states to top up, to increase the available guarantee and to earmark it to specific countries or regions in the country. And this by providing additional funds from either share management funds or the RRF, the Recovery and Resilience Facility funds, which has happened earlier this year for Romania. Now, the EU guarantee will be implemented through our implementing partners, the EIB Group, of course, but also other IPs. And this will be implemented by increasing their risk-bearing capacity, and they will provide it to the final beneficiaries. They can provide it either directly or indirectly through financial intermediaries. You have already heard about the policy windows of the InvestEU. Here you can find on the slides the actual allocated EU guarantee for each windows. I just wanted this slide also wants to say that InvestEU is like EFSI, a demand-driven instrument, but at the same time it has a stronger policy steer. And also for example, another target that we have to fulfill is related to the sustainable infrastructure window, which is the biggest window in terms of EU guarantee allocation, where 60% of the the guarantee should cover climate and environmental objectives. Maybe just to the member state compartment. So it's something that member states to which member states can voluntarily contribute. But what I wanted to underline is that it is only a delivery mechanism to creating synergies with the other EU funds available, like the structural funds or RRF, and it is used to deliver the objectives available under these policy frameworks. What is important also to say is that the member states can contribute to both the EU guarantee, to the provisioning, but also to the advisory support. And in the Romanian contribution agreement signed in May, both of them are covered, because actually there is also additional advisory support that the EBRD is going to deliver in Romania under the member state compartment. We have, I'm not sure if Giorgio mentioned, but we have already signed with Finland and Czech Republic contribution agreements in September, and there are also a contribution agreement negotiated with Greece and Bulgaria currently, and there will be normally signed before the end of the year. Just a couple of words on the InvestEU Advisory Hub, which is the second pillar of the InvestEU. It was created so the objective of the hub is to create a steady pipeline of qualitative investment projects by providing technical assistance and advisory support to project promoters and also financial intermediaries, covering the entire project lifecycle. The focus of the advisory hub will be, of course, the delivery of project advisory support, but it can also provide capacity building to promoters and also market development activities. It is active in the four policy windows we've seen earlier, so sustainable infrastructure, research, innovation and digitalization, SMEs and social investment. And it can be accessed, the access to the hub can be done through our advisory partners, but also by using the central entry point, which is the single gateway available on the Commission website, which was created to simplify and facilitate the access to the advisory initiatives available under the hub. The advisory hub, I don't think I mentioned, is to be delivered through the help with the help of our advisory partners. The EIB has been in the past a major partner, and it remains under the hub also by implementing 75% of the envelope available in the regulation. And it is, but the hub is also open to other advisory partners, the same institutions I mentioned earlier. And EBRD has been active in the past in Romania, and most likely they will continue now under the advisory hub. Last but not least, the third pillar of the InvestEU, it's the InvestEU portal. This is our platform providing visibility, networking, matchmaking opportunities to EU-based project promoters and international investors. It is not, it is actually also a continuation of the the EAPP, the European Investment Project Portal, that was implemented under the Investment Plan for Europe in the previous MFF. And, but there are some novelties to the portal. First one is the fact that it provides a direct link to our implementing partners, which will have to actually review the projects that are published on the portal. And it also has a closer link to the advisory hub for these project promoters that would need advisory support. The publication on the portal is free of charge, and these projects can be submitted online. And I think actually currently there are 38 Romanian projects already published on the portal. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope now you have a better understanding of what the InvestEU offers and the opportunities it provides to Romania. There will be a number of sessions when some of these work streams and InvestEU pillars will be presented even more. Thank you very much. What do I need to do? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alina Tanasa from ECFIN Mandate Management. Thank you for presenting an overview of the InvestEU program and the important achievement I think that Romania has done under this framework, because I'm often asked why Romania is delayed, what can be improved, which are the risks, but nobody's asking me what is Romania good at, what kind of achievement they achieved. And I'm always very attentive to balance this information, because indeed in this case Romania was among the first member states to ask the EIB Group to have a role in the Resilience and Recovery Program, the PNRR for Romania. And as we heard, Romania was the first member state to sign the contribution agreement under InvestEU member state compartment with the Commission. And we are very pleased with the result. I think it's very good to say that Romania is much so ahead than other member states on setting up these programs for the market. And of course, we are very grateful for the trust. Let me call to the table the colleagues from the European Investment Bank, which will dive in even more in what we have to offer. So I will call Bert van der Toorn from our venture debt team, Cristina from Project Finance, and Teodora Tatacu from the InvestEU Advisory Hub. So you have the choice to stay close to the Bert. You will be the first to, yeah.
It work? Yeah, does it work? And I've been in Romania since beginning of 2000, quite often for different institutions, and I've always been impressed by how we always get things done here. So I look forward to doing more things together. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So what you see here is the building we're very proud of in working in Luxembourg. And I'm here to talk a little bit about venture debt. And what I want to kind of like highlight is at least some of you will be here just to make sure you get money that you otherwise couldn't get. And I think that's the beauty of this product that we're going to present to you. It's different from what you normally have in the market. So you have equity on the one hand, senior debt on the other, and this is trying to bridge the gap that's quite often there. And I think we should be very thankful to the Commission to make this available. So can we go to the next page? Oh, I can do that. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So, well, this is a little bit optional, as the thing says above. And basically, we are, of course, quite significant in Europe in respect of financing. And we focus, as you can understand, on various things that the Commission finds important. So if you want our support, and that is also under InvestEU, it should preferably focus on these areas, you know, where you clearly see it's to the benefit of the long-term growth of the union. Now, if you think about it, there's various ways to get money from the European Investment Group, and that is one directly, which is what I'm responsible for, but also indirectly, which is what the EIF is responsible for. So keep that in mind when talking to the various parties within our institution. Now, and this is probably the most important slide that I'm going to present, which is kind of indicating what I just said. We can help with the InvestEU support. We can help to kind of help innovations get started after the first money is in. Yeah, so your family has helped, or you have some anchor investors that are quite dedicated to innovation and clean tech and willing to take a portfolio approach to risk. So basically, they invest in 10 and they hope 2 of them will do well. What we try to do is beyond that, support their growth. So we are looking at early commercialization, which is basically expanding the pilot plant and then slowly going into demonstration and maybe even commercialization that is not yet fundable by commercial banks. Yeah. So quite clearly, it is a product whereby basically you get money where you otherwise wouldn't get it, or you have to get very expensive equity monies, which at some point becomes difficult to collect. So how then do we add value to these entities, which I hope some of you are representing? So we bridge this growth. We show where we are willing to invest. It has to have something to do with innovation, and it has to kind of really help the union to go further. Now, within venture debt, we're looking at various sectors: engineering, ICT, life sciences. Just to think about also the virus development, vaccine development, apologies, that's happened with Corona, and all kinds of other kind of software developments where you clearly, as soon as you get a certain kind of minimum traction, it can go really big quite quickly, and you need less money than you need for maybe some other stuff like engineering. Then we look very much at renewables, and I think you have to understand this, of course, is becoming more and more important in the current environment. And what we're constantly doing is not trying to do the same thing, but really look at different solutions to for instance, the energy storage. You can store energy in various ways, and some are more expensive, some are more static, I would say. But for instance, if you think about it, I just read this morning, or again, that up to 90% of the processing of the important ingredients to batteries is all done in one country, and it's not in Europe. Yeah, so we really need to kind of make sure that that development continues also outside. Now, as you can see, we have a product that we implement with InvestEU, whereby basically we try to mirror what you would normally see with a loan product, but given the fact that there's a portfolio approach, because InvestEU doesn't want to kind of like bleed dry, because if they wanted that, they would provide grants. Yeah, we try to make sure that the money comes back in most of the cases, and therefore we have structured the product in such a way that there is a chance that that comes back. We try to at least give as much time as possible to the investor to kind of generate the cash flow that is important to repay us. So we are not asking like after 2 months or after 2 years already for interest payments or whatever. We can delay those and all those things till the end. Yeah, and if you're a success, you pay us back. Yeah, and we pay back InvestEU, of course. If it's not, we all cry and we go home. Yeah, so that's the idea. Yeah. Now, the beauty also of the EIB venture debt product is that the EIB, and therefore also InvestEU, is not trying to micromanage you. Yeah, so we're clearly taking a contractual position with you, but we're not trying to be on the board and take all kinds of decisions that you probably know better, as long as you went through our screening where we have figured out that you know better. Yeah, so quite clearly, we want to be there to help you and always basically ensure that we are supporting the ones that are having a reasonable chance of success. Yeah. Now, in the past, yeah, and these figures can be updated, but in the past, basically, we've done quite a lot of transactions in this space. But I think it's so very important because this is where the new large companies are created. And this is where basically we can do the most for basically kickstarting the European economy in respect of the most important subsectors. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll have my next slides for whoever comes this afternoon, yeah, and is more interested in the details. Because if either you are, and you really need the money, and you should come to that session, or you're more interested in other subjects, and then I don't want to kind of like take up your time. So please come this afternoon if you're interested in more. If not, I thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Bert. Before I give the floor to Cristina Span, let me say that in the afternoon, we will have these two workshops. One, it will be here in this Vienna room, organized by the EIF. And one will be upstairs in the Istanbul room, where Bert and Cristina will be available for this kind of more workshop type of meeting with any question, any specific case that you might want to discuss, or any specific question that you might want to address to my colleagues, actually. Cristina Span from the project finance, you will speak from the table, Cristina. And Cristina not only will speak from the table, but she will address you in Romanian. The English, the presentation will be in English, but the speech will be in Romanian. So please, Cristina, thank you for joining us today.
Bună ziua tuturor! În primul rând, aș vrea să mulțumesc Larei și colegilor mei din București pentru invitație și pentru organizarea acestui eveniment foarte frumos. Mă numesc Cristina Span, sunt loan officer la BI și mă ocup în principal cu finanțarea proiectelor prin modelul Project Finance. Aș dori să prezint azi, în legătură cu Project Finance, să discutăm câteva studii de caz și să prezentăm de asemenea câteva dintre trăsăturile modelului și sectoarele în care ar putea fi utilizat în viitorul apropiat în România, în contextul InvestEU. Și aș vrea să încep cu enunțarea câtorva trăsături principale ale modelului Project Finance, special comparativ cu împrumuturile corporative. În primul rând, împrumuturile corporative și finanțarea prin Project Finance nu se exclud. Ele sunt complementare. Știu că unii dintre dumneavoastră au deja experiență cu Project Finance. Unii sunt deja familiarizați, dar probabil sunt și colegi care încep să se pună la curent, să se familiarizeze cu acest model. Când vorbim de împrumuturi corporative, dimensionarea și condițiile împrumuturilor se bazează în primul rând pe robustețea activelor și la bilanțului companiei. Proiecțiile financiare ale companiei sunt extrapolate din performanțele anterioare, iar împrumuturile sunt securizate de activele companiei și de fluxurile de numerar, de cash flow-ul companiei și al noilor proiecte. Prin contrast, în cazul Project Finance, investitorii creează o companie de proiecte în care sunt acționari. Această companie are ca unic scop implementarea proiectului. Nu are activitate trecută și nici active din trecut. Acționarii companiei de proiect includ sponsorii principali, companii de sine stătătoare, dar și investitori pe care îi numim investitori instituționali, fonduri de investiții, de pensii, de exemplu, sau contractori, furnizori strategici pentru proiect. Pentru Project Finance, condițiile împrumuturilor au la bază fluxurile de venit ale proiectului, cash flow-ul proiectului, nu al acționarilor. Și de regulă, acționarii nu pun la dispoziția proiectului alte garanții. Împrumuturile sunt securizate în principal de acțiunile companiei de proiect, de activele proiectului și din veniturile obținute din vânzarea serviciilor și produselor. Dacă vorbim de proiecte de energie regenerabilă, contractele PPA sunt o astfel de sursă de venit pentru proiect. În general, modelul PF se adresează finanțării împrumuturilor în sectorul privat, dar nu exclude nici sectorul public. Pe scurt, modelul PF permite investitorilor să-și extindă capacitatea de datorare, permițându-le în același timp să partajeze riscurile și să obțină finanțări bazate pe creditul altor stakeholders sau părți interesate în proiect, cum ar fi cumpărătorii produselor și serviciilor sau chiar a furnizorilor majori de materie primă. În ce sectoare întâlnim PF? În mai toate sectoarele de infrastructură, fie ele sociale sau de transport, prin acele modele PPP, care pot fi foarte diferite, în sectorul energetic și în producție industrială. Putem să vorbim despre industria chimică până la industria alimentară. Astăzi voi menționa câteva sectoare, 2, de fapt, cu un deficit mare investițional în România, dar și cu un potențial extrem de mare în România și unde InvestEU ar putea juca un rol important. Go back, sorry.
No problem.
Încep cu sectorul generării de electricitate prin renewables, cum îl numim, din ce în ce mai mult. Aici credem că structurile PF sunt esențiale, deoarece, cu toate că există jucători mari în piață, cu tradiție, activele lor nu vor fi suficiente ca să acopere deficitul de investiții. Și pe lângă aceste mari companii, este nevoie de noi jucători suplimentari, mai mici din punct de vedere al activelor. Și deja vedem foarte multe startup-uri în România care vor să intre pe piață, să dezvolte proiecte în domeniul regenerabil. Și pipeline-ul de proiecte în România, probabil cum știți și dumneavoastră, este foarte mare, iar necesarul de capital este pe măsură. Subvențiile nu pot nici ele acoperi acest necesar mare de capital și de aceea sunt necesare finanțări inovatoare, precum Project Finance, care poate fi combinat cu granturi. Acesta nu este doar cazul României, este mai general și în Europa și în alte părți. Și vom vedea acest model din ce în ce mai mult pe toate piețele. Nu există un model PF care este potrivit pentru toate proiectele. Asta este una din complexitățile modelului, pentru că trebuie ajustat la fiecare proiect în parte.
Un alt subsector în care modelul PF este din ce în ce mai mult folosit este în dezvoltarea sistemului energetic. Investiții în sistemul energetic. Fie că este vorba de creșterea capacității de stocare a energiei pentru echilibrarea pieței sau creșterea capacității de interconectare prin noi conectori la nivel european, fie că este vorba de proiecte care combină elemente de infrastructură cu investiții industriale, de exemplu, stații de încărcare pentru vehicule electrice sau fabricarea de baterii, investiții pentru captare de carbon sau de eficiență energetică. Modelele PF pentru aceste infrastructuri, aceste proiecte, oferă o acoperire geografică mai largă și o extindere mai rapidă a capacității, deoarece prin PF se pot finanța concomitent mai multe proiecte. Așa cum am spus puțin mai înainte, investitorii își pot lărgi capacitatea de datorare. Și nu în ultimul rând vreau să menționez transportul, pentru că este un alt sector care are nevoie de investiții masive în România și de o transformare din punct de vedere tehnic și tehnologic. Avem proiecte TEN-T pentru a sprijini libera circulație, dar de asemenea o nevoie mare de investiții pentru transportul durabil, cum ar fi calea ferată și material rurant. Aș mai menționa aici și stații de încărcare pentru vehiculele electrice, producție de hidrogen și infrastructurile aferente hidrogenului. Next, yes. Am pregătit și 2 studii de caz. Am selectat 2 proiecte a căror contracte de finanțare au fost semnate destul de recent de BI. Primul este o uzină de baterii la scară largă Norvolt, probabil ați auzit de ea, a fost un contract semnat în 2020 și este un proiect sprijinit de Fondul European de Investiții Strategice, EFSI, despre care colega mea a vorbit. Este un precursor al fondului InvestEU. Norvolt este situată în nordul Suediei și va fi principalul lor loc de producție. Momentan, uzina fabrică în jur de 16 gigawatts-oră de capacitate de stocare pe an. Asta este faza inițială și se pregătește ca în curând să extindă această capacitate la circa 40 de gigawatts-oră. Este important de menționat că acest proiect a avut o fază inițială demo și a primit o finanțare de circa 50 de milioane de euro ca sprijin din partea programului Proiecte Energetice Demonstrative a InnoFin. În legătură cu finanțarea PF a proiectului, aș menționa câteva elemente cheie de succes. Instalația a avut această demonstrație anterioară, ceea ce a permis investitorilor să-și mărească capabilitatea și să demonstreze creditorilor că au această capabilitate și că pot gestiona riscurile acestui proiect. Apoi, finanțarea a fost structurată în jurul angajamentelor pe termen lung cu companii mari și experimentate din domeniul automotiv în principal. De asemenea, proiectul beneficiază de contracte pe termen lung pentru asigurarea energiei și materiilor prime, pentru că sunt resurse importante în determinarea costurilor de producție. Rambursarea împrumutului corespunde veniturilor contractate. Rambursarea se face așa cum se face în modelul project finance în general, după un profil pe care îl numim noi sculptat, în funcție de veniturile contractate ale proiectului. Finanțarea s-a realizat în dolari pentru acest proiect. Următorul proiect este un portofoliu de câmpuri eoliene în Polonia. Cuprinde 6 astfel de câmpuri eoliene. Fiecare câmp eolian este structurat ca o companie de proiect sine stătătoare, dar finanțarea s-a realizat la nivelul portofoliului. Există pentru că aceste companii de proiect își garantează una alteia împrumutul sau performanța. Este un contract de finanțare semnat de EIB în 2022, la începutul acestui an, și este primul împrumut PF susținut de InvestEU în Europa Centrală. Împrumutul BI este de circa 79 de milioane de euro, este echivalentul în sloți, pentru că împrumutul a fost acordat în sloți de către Banca Europeană de Investiții. Reprezintă circa 40% din datoria proiectului. Pentru o durată de finanțare de 15 ani, cu o proporție datorie față de capitalul propriu de circa 70-30%. Proiectul beneficiază de venituri pe baza licitației Contract for Difference, organizată în Polonia. Aproximativ 90% din producție a fost oferită în cadrul acestei licitații și declarată. Pe de o parte, proiectul vinde energia pe piața spot, iar dacă există un deficit comparativ cu prețul licitat, operatorul de decontare deținut de guvernul polonez acoperă acest deficit de energie. Dacă soldul însă este pozitiv, excedentul se aplică pentru acoperirea soldului negativ în lunile următoare, iar dacă soldul rămâne pozitiv la sfârșitul perioadei de suport, acesta va trebui rambursat operatorului de decontare. Acesta este în mare mecanismul de Contract for Difference. 10% din producție nu este declarată în cadrul mecanismului Contract for Difference și este vândută de către proiect printr-o combinație de contracte PPA-uri pe termen lung și mediu la un preț fix. În România, Banca Europeană de Investiții are deja un pipeline de proiecte, dar nu am semnat un contract de finanțare, de aceea azi am vrut doar să ofer un exemplu ipotetic. Nu este, așa cum am spus la început, aplicabil tuturor proiectelor, dar este, zicem noi, reflectă condițiile în piața din România și, în general, în piața din Europa. Și este bazat pe experiența noastră destul de mare în finanțarea de proiecte regenerabile. Nu am să citesc sau să prezint. Prezentarea va fi pusă la dispoziția dumneavoastră și aștept întrebările dumneavoastră fie direct, puteți trimite un e-mail sau prin Lara, prin colega mea. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult!
Thank you, Cristina. So a reminder, Cristina will also be available this afternoon if you want to ask her things directly in person, I think is always better. We made a big effort to bring people to Bucharest, and we really want to go back to physical meetings and physical shaking of hands. Okay, let me give the floor to Teodora Tatacu from the InvestEU Advisory Hub. She will speak from the podium, I understand. I hand over the thing. I'll close the mic.
Bună dimineața, dacă îmi permiteți, eu voi continua în engleză, prezentarea fiind în engleză. O să vă vorbesc astăzi despre InvestEU Advisory Hub, componenta pe care o avem în cadrul Băncii Europene de Investiții. Yeah, sorry. So, okay. Thank you very much for coming and for taking your time to be present with us today. I would like to start with 3 key messages. First of all, just to mention that InvestEU is extremely well aligned with the EIB and as the climate bank, and us as a partner, as a 70% partner of the Commission for implementing InvestEU, we are expecting that advisory services will grow in importance because of the challenges to meet the climate targets and also to become sustainable in our economic growth. Secondly, what is very important is to mention that advisory services are available to public, private, and financial institutions. This has been already said several times until now, but I just want to put an emphasis on some experts. Another very important message that I want to start with is that advisory services are free of charge to the public sector, and also to the private sector up to a certain threshold. So this again is very important. And just to conclude on this introductory slide, you will see in my presentation that advisory support is given to the project through the entire cycle project, from upstream services to preparation, implementation, and then support in the capacity building. Just a little bit short introduction. Our colleagues from ECFIN already mentioned some aspects. We are just adding more details to the story. We are, as you know, moving from the European Investment Advisory Hub to the InvestEU, and we can see some differences. So from the design perspective, delivery, and context. As you know very well, under the advisory, under the previous programming period, we had the different programs and initiatives, Jaspers, ECFIN, Alina. Now under the InvestEU, the idea is to bring all the programs together under the policy windows and to add this complementarity of the complementary aspects of the services. As before, it was, we were discussing more about additionality. The second aspect is the delivery mode. I will not insist, this was already mentioned by ECFIN. You know very well that EIB is the main implementing partner with 70% from the agreement, but other advisory partners, and we hope that they will sign shortly. The context, this was mentioned also in the introduction, the minister, the vice president, and also the director mentioned, we are changing from investment plan for Europe, where we were recovering after the sovereign debt crisis, and now we are more into the climate, into the recovery after COVID. We have an urgency of addressing climate change and building a more resilient Europe. Now the well-known windows already, so until now everybody mentioned, and so you should know them very well. We have the sustainable infrastructure, the research and development and SMEs, social investment and skills, but I also want to mention the cross-sectorial one. So sustainable infrastructure, here we definitely see a public sector focus. And just to clarify that sustainability also for us has has a notion of climate, environment, and social. And again, social is very important, and we see it also as a cross-cutting. The second one, research and development and SMEs. Here, of course, we speak more about the private sector, and we hope that the private sector will be driving the innovation. The social and investment and skills, this is based a lot on what was done previously under the advisory hub. And the last one that I mentioned, the cross-sectorial window, here we have the circular cities that, again, this is built on what was prepared under the advisory hub, and the circular economy technical assistance facility, and it's a new program. This is a very good examples of the facilities and programs that were prepared in the previous programming period, and now will go more in the development and implementation. Just to mention also here in the cross-sectoral window, to mention the support that we are offering to public sector for the public sector loan facility, the so-called Pillar 3 of the Just Transition. And here you might know already we have a dedicated ring fence budget to support projects that will contribute, that want to combine or need for bankability reasons, to combine grant with co-financing to support the just transition. Last but very important, the gender issues. Here we have it is mainly related to infrastructure design and employment, but also with a big focus on female entrepreneurs. Now, also, as I mentioned at the beginning, so advisory services are provided throughout the entire cycle. We see very much the upstream part, but now the focus is more on the preparation and implementation, with a focus to building a strong and sound investment pipeline. Capacity building is very important, and not only for public, but also for private and intermediaries. I will not insist more on this one because we will go through each of the sectors afterwards. So, as I mentioned, to start with the public sector clients, the public sector clients, this is very important. We have on the left side the main initiative: sustainable infrastructure, social infrastructure, Elena, circular cities, just transition, just to mention some of them. And here we provide the, let's say, so-called traditional technical assistance that is so much needed, was needed also in the past and still now in developing the projects. But we also have advisory support to strengthen organization capacity in looking at the project team and develop project pipelines. We have partnership models, new delivery models. If you are interested, I invite you to look at the study and the guide that was done by our colleagues EPEC for the electric vehicles in charging infrastructure for the public sector. And also we have new tools that will support meet the eligibilities. This is quite important for us also in the view of the climate bank and also for Paris alignment. So what we can do, we can support the promoters to meet the Paris alignment targets, and also for different reporting on monitoring standards. Then on corporate, on corporate, again, we are talking about direct support for the project preparation, financial support for preparing different type of documents that will help the promoter develop the project and build the case. So we have here examples with financial models. We have examples of business plans, financial structuring, investment memorandum, advice on options, and that will include both EU funds and EU loans. And we can also have market consultation through the access to finance studies to assess the investment opportunities of emerging technologies. What we also have here, we have market studies, and I will come back at the end with an example that we have now in Romania. Then another leg of the advisory services is the one for financial intermediaries. I will not develop very much on this one because our colleagues from EIF, they have a presentation afterwards and also a session in the afternoon. So I invite you to also participate to the session in the afternoon. And then I would just want to conclude the presentation with some clear examples from the advisory hub. I would like to start with the health sector, because you know very well it's a very important sector, not only for Romania, but also for the EU and for the bank. And here I wanted to start with the regional emergency hospitals, because they represent a very good, they are a very good model of the tailored advisory support that the bank can offer. So we've been together in this journey since the beginning, starting with the preparation of the comprehensive feasibility studies, and we guided the Ministry of Health through the entire project until now, and we hope also for the future. And here we see a clear examples of advisory services that complement each other and work together in the benefit of the project. And we have EU funds, we have EIB loans, the state. So I think it's a very good example to start with, and that incorporates mainly all the parts of the bank, and combine, of course, with the Commission and EU funds. Then another very good example is the technical and financial advisory support that we are offering for the universities. This is quite new. This started, I'm very happy to talk about it, started only recently in the last 2 years, where we are supporting the universities to best structure the investment plan and discuss potential financial support from the EIB, from EU funds. And we try to guide them through the preparation, through appraisal, due diligence, and other factors. And here we talk about both financial advisory, but also technical one, because mainly the focus is on the development of the campus, development of the infrastructure. We have refurbishment, rehabilitation of students' accommodation. The wish is to go more on research, on the research center, and not only on building the research centers, but also making them operational. Another example, but this time in the climate in the climate area, is the one that I want to mention, is the one for the decarbonization of Transgaz. So here we are supporting the company develop a climate strategy that will allow Transgaz to act in the short term, and also prepare a more to go more to the sustainable energy transition over the decades to come. And here the objective is to create the decarbonization strategy and the climate strategy, and it will help them efficiently decarbonize its activities and strengthen the resilience to climate change. Another example for corporate is the one that we have for Transelectrica. Here the focus is more on the project processes, on the re-engineering of the project processes, with two main aspects, one on project management procedures and the other one on the procurement ones. The focus and the scope is to shorten the project duration, and to identify and eliminate, of course, any bottlenecks that we will find in the implementation and in the project development. I mentioned a little bit when talking about corporate. So our colleagues from from ITFA, from Innovation, Digitalization and Financial Advisory. They have developed a lot of studies lately. And I'm very happy that today, and also together with the Ministry of Finance and of Investment and European Funds, we are working together on a study for Romania for the digitalization of SMEs. So here we want to support the ministry to prepare to prepare their own strategy and to prepare their own programs. And the aim of the study is to answer some very important and pertinent questions, like what is the digital maturity of Romanian SMEs across sectors and the region, because of course we can see different degrees in different regions. How can local financial intermediaries channel more funding towards digitalization of SMEs? What soft measures will support them both? And also here together with, because our main counterpart in MIPE is in fact the directorate who is dealing also with financial instruments. So one of the main objective is to see how dedicated financial instruments can EIB, EIF offer to facilitate the green and digital transition for Romanian SMEs and financial intermediaries. And I would just want to finish with an example from yesterday. I don't know if you followed the press or you've seen already. Yesterday morning, we signed a new advisory service agreement with Sector 1 for road safety. Again, another very important sector, not only for Romania, but also for the bank. So thank you very much. Mulțumesc foarte mult. And if you have questions, happy to answer.
Thank you, Teodora. Okay, you heard a lot of advisory, let's say, on big corporates. And when I meet the small ones, they always ask me, okay, but what is there for us? So you need to dig a bit more. We are more and more going to advising also the small corporates. And we really hope that InvestEU will also help us to focus on this. It's not an easy task, but I can assure you that all my colleagues there, compared to some years ago, every lead that we come across in Romania is passed on to our colleagues in Luxembourg, and they follow it up. So what I usually say, I ensure accessibility and follow-up from our side. Although it's not easy sometimes to get access to our funding, but we are very, very committed to make everything possible for you to understand. If it's not, we cannot support it, why? Now, it's your turn. If you have questions, I mean, I'm in Romania since now 4.5 years. I know that the Q&As are usually not very, very busy, but as I said, we have time also this afternoon in case you want to have a more bilateral and private exchange with our colleagues. Any question? No. Anything that you want to add? No. Great. So I think we are now set for the coffee break. We are a bit ahead of time, 15 minutes. So I ask you to be back at 11:15. You have a coffee break here in the hall in front of the meeting room. Thank you very much for your participation until now. We see each other at 11:50. So thank you for coming back to the room. I'm sure that we will have even more participants coming back. You can take the coffee with you. Somebody asked me, so everything that, whatever it takes for you to be back and follow the presentation. A small reference to the presentations that you have seen and you will be seeing today. We will upload them in the event website, so everything will be available to you after the event today. So Hubert Cottogni, director from the European Investment Fund, doesn't need presentations now because you have heard about him already, but he will dive in on the EIF product offering under InvestEU for Romania. Thank you very much. Hubert, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Super.
Yeah, I got it all here. Yeah, good morning again. A warm welcome from my side. Hubert Cottogni, representing the European Investment Fund and one of the, I guess, important implementing partners for the Commission under InvestEU. Let me, before I go into the details of the InvestEU guarantee, when it comes to our products, just very briefly explain our business model, because not all of you might be totally familiar with it. The European Investment Fund, which I like to consider or articulate as the risk-taking arm of the European Investment Bank Group, focusing on micro, small and medium enterprises only for the time being, is a wholesaler. At the end of the day, we work with financial intermediaries, with banks, with microfinance institutions, with leasing companies, but also with venture capital funds, with tech transfer funds, business angel networks, growth funds, who reach out to the SMEs and to the final investments. So we are not intervening, so to speak, in the decision-making process, in the loan process of a bank or investment process of a team, of a venture capital team. But what we do is we lay out very clearly what is the strategy our guarantee or our investment must follow. And that could be, in the previous times before InvestEU, this was relatively easy. We said it needs to be an SME under the definition of Europe, and it needs to be in Europe, or depending on where the money came from, in Romania. So that was relatively simple. Now with InvestEU, obviously the policymaker, the Commission, and the Parliament has given us a much bigger task. And the much bigger task is to help via those financial intermediaries, to help SMEs to become greener, to do no significant harm, to become more digital, more innovative, etc. And that obviously puts a lot of burden, not only on us, but also a lot of burden on the financial intermediaries, because we have to start thinking alike, speaking alike, and being fully aligned what the European Commission calls the taxonomy. So in other words, eligibility is the name of the game going forward. And I like to make this point very clearly, because it's not what we used to be in the past. The products are very similar. They are not very dissimilar, but the purpose of the money is very targeted in order to fulfill our targets. And this is what I wanted to say. Can we move on to the presentation? Yeah, here it is. Fine, now it's fine, that's fine. So this is more or less what I wanted to say on the EIF itself. Obviously, we did have, I have to say this because it's unique. On average, the European Investment Fund provides, by means of new commitments to funds and new guarantees to financial intermediaries like banks, we do approximately 11-12 billion of new contracts every year. Last year, we did 31 billion, and that was thanks to a mandate which 22 member states gave to us, the European Guarantee Fund, which gave us an enormous capacity, but at the same time to put us under enormous time stress to implement this. So last year was an enormous year, and we reached out to an, I guess we are looking at my colleagues, more than 500,000 of SMEs throughout Europe with this fresh capacity. Now, why do we do all of this? And InvestEU in particular, not only to green the companies and to digitalize them and to help them to become more modern and resilient, but in particular in a country like Romania, but this is not exclusive in Romania, we see that the banks are still very reluctant when it comes to lending. So when we provide, as the EIF, a guarantee to the banks, we can indeed help them to shift a bit the needle in their own risk management. They're looking at loans when they are guaranteed by ourselves in a different manner. And that indeed is what we like to achieve. I'm saying we are not going to provide the loans, but we are trying to shift the risk appetite and therefore the needle slightly upwards, in the sense that more companies become access to finance. That's one thing. On the other hand, and that is even potentially more critical, with our guarantees, we can help the financial intermediaries to lend without taking tangible securities in the normal course of business. Normally, they want to have a house which has the same value or more value than the loan. With our guarantee, the tangible securities can be substantially reduced. And that is certainly a benefit for providing more access to finance to people who otherwise would not receive this particular credit. Looking at Romania, and I said this at the morning, and I repeat it shortly here, the Romanian government has throughout the years always strongly supported the European Investment Fund by providing mandates, what we call mandates. So in other words, capital which either came out of their public budget, but most likely came out of structural funds, and more recently under the resilience facility, which we are implementing based on a strategy which we have developed with the Romanian authorities in Romania. And because of this long-standing relationship, we were able, obviously in combination with our own funds and EU funding, we had about 2.2 billion of euros available on funding, which we placed in the Romanian market over the last year, leveraging with the private investment, which means the banks, the microfinance institution, the funds, 5.7 billion. We did more than 100 contracts, and we reached out to over 50,000 SMEs or micro enterprises. Now, here you see a bit more in detail of what are the funding which has Romanian origins and which we are managing for Romania. And that is not only a stock, but what is important, and you see this in some of the brackets in this table, it's also the reflows. So what this table shows you or would like to suggest is that once we receive funding from the authorities, not only that we would try to, or we will implement the mission, the strategy, but by doing so, we see that also funds are coming back. So in other words, equity funds are indeed doing the job. They are performing, we are getting repaid. The same with the guarantees. That meant that not when we calculate the expected losses of these portfolios to be built up, not all SMEs default, we get reflows. So in other words, there's a nice reflow which we can permanently reinvest to the benefit of SMEs in Romania. And the good thing with reflows is, and I smile a bit on this one, it has very few eligibility criterion because it is a block of finance, which indeed we can, without big obstacles, invest via the financial intermediaries in the Romanian industry. What I would like to mention here is the last line, which is the Recovery and Resilience Facility of Romania, and here the equity compartment, because we here only talk about InvestEU. So I'd like to pause here for 2 seconds. We have signed with the Romanian authority an envelope of 400 million euro in order to support Romanian teams throughout the value chain. So really from the startup, from early VC, seed capital, all the way up to scale-up financing, And on top of it, and this is a new feature in our portfolio, also infrastructure funds. So in other words, if we were to look for a team which invests in renewable energy, digital infrastructure, we could now, with this particular envelope, also finance infrastructure investments indirectly by investing into funds. That's a new feature. We do this for the last 3 years, and we have, as we received the mandate from the EIB, also transferred a very strong team to do this particular activity. So if any of you is an infrastructure fund manager, this might be of interest to you. So I lost my presentation, maybe because I wanted to go to InvestEU. So then I flip, because some of this you might have heard. This one you have heard, obviously the 4 windows with a total of 26 billion, leveraging 370 million. And out of this, we are responsible for 11 billion of the InvestEU guarantee. And we have committed to leverage this 13 times, so 145 billion throughout Europe. Now, some people might say these people are crazy in Luxembourg. They don't understand our markets. How can they commit to 13 times leverage? Indeed, when I started working in this institution, I did indeed say the same, but now I've understood how this all works. And indeed, I guess it's a promise which we can make. It's still challenging, but a promise which we can make. And I'm confident that our colleagues, and some of them are here in the room, they will, in the seminar, tell you a bit more in detail how this will all work. Now, on the products, obviously, we got this 11 billion under InvestEU, and we had, together with Giorgio and his team, had to develop, agree, and fine-tune products. Therefore, and here you see this, the 5 and 6 products. So we have 6 guarantee products. I like to put the skills, education, and social impact and inclusive finance into one. So literally, these are 5 guarantees. So it's the sustainability or the green guarantee. It's the innovation and digitalization guarantee. It's a competitive and growth guarantee, and the CCS, the cultural and creative sector guarantee. And on top of it, our social skills and inclusive finance guarantee. Nothing of this is particularly new, but I like to reiterate what I said before. We had to, in order to follow the policy maker, we had to slice it down into policy compartments. So in other words, when a bank now looks at us and looks, but I do all of this, then I would like to invite the bank to apply to all of these guarantees. But therefore, the market becomes a bit more narrow, right? Because you have to indeed target sustainable investments. You have to indeed target energy efficiency measures at the level of the SMEs in order to benefit of the sustainability guarantee. And that is what becomes a bit more tricky. And therefore, our dialogue has to include not only talking what we would like to achieve, but also in the KPI, in the key performance indicator, in the setting of the criterion which we would like to achieve, and which shall be measured at the end of the day as hopefully successful or less successful. We have to have a common dialogue on a permanent basis, because you will also be invited to report to us accordingly. Because obviously this is an EU guarantee. We have to prove to the Commission, we have to prove to the Parliament, and not least to the Member States and the Court of Auditors, that indeed the money was spent for the real purpose. So that is a bit more challenging, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to this, because it will enhance our partnership, because we will have to work more closely together, not only until signature, but in particular beyond the contract signature when you are implementing these products for us. Equally on the equity side, although the equity markets are a bit more targeted, so it becomes a bit easier because you have dedicated teams in the health sector, you have dedicated team in infrastructure, etc. So here, I guess the 6 products which we have set out, they are more aligned to already today's market standards, but the general envelope is maybe under the Capital Markets Union, but the others are very targeted when it comes to the sector. Again, here, and I mentioned this before, we literally invest in all types of funds. What is important, we are a European institution, and I can't reiterate this often enough. We like to have the funds registered in Europe. And that is, I guess it goes without saying, it's public funds. So we like to have the structure in Europe, we like to have the teams in Europe, although under certain mandates you might find here and there a single investment which is outside, because it's just the name of the game, but the structure and the team needs to be core European. Yeah, another point which is for us relatively new is individuals. So for the time being, we have always supported micro, small and medium enterprises, small, mid caps, but we can also do under InvestEU individuals, so households at the end of the day for energy efficiency measures in particular. For this, again, we believe the guarantee products which we have can be a very powerful instrument to shift households to make green investments, primarily energy efficiency measures being new glazing, windows, doors, but also photovoltaic installations on the roofs. Here, I'm not going to repeat myself again. It's just another way to present the same thing. And now the big thing, so to speak, in Romania. Romania has, and I couldn't say this often enough, has engaged with us in a journey which, for which you have to be brave or dumb or silly. And I would like to say almost at the end of the journey, we were brave and successful. Because when the resilience facility was created, just a few figures, it's about the 700 billion envelope for Europe, which is split 50-50 in loans and grants. So the member states have on top of the MFF funds 1.1 trillion approximately. I'm not going to bother you with figures, but the 700 billion is split 50-50 loans and grants, and the grant envelope, like the loans, is allocated over the various member states, for which the member states had to produce programs, very clear programs. And that is critical in the implementation because the Commission is the guardian of whether or not the program is going to be implemented. And this is a trigger going forward for payments as the RRF is rolled out. So this is not only a block of finance, but it is a program-related concept, which will be, which will have to address structural reforms, legal reforms, etc., etc. So it's a tandem. It's not only financing, but the member state has indeed to beef up, to improve their legal standards in many aspects to which they have committed. Now, the member state compartment, the RRF has had the opportunity or has the opportunity to dedicate some parts to InvestEU and benefit of the framework of InvestEU and the underlying products of InvestEU. Now, over the journey of negotiation, we have learned, obviously, that some tricks or some beauties were not negotiable, like, for instance, state aid. So this is measured as national state aid. That is not fully aligned with InvestEU, but also the do no significant harm rules were a bit more stringent under the RRF than under InvestEU. In a principle, however, the structure which we have developed here in Romania and which we are now copying into Finland, into Greece, into Bulgaria, other countries to come, can also be adopted for other funding, like, for instance, structural funds or national budget, as we do it in Finland, for instance. So it's not only a program dedicated only to RRF. The 500 million, and indeed, I guess the minister, the vice president talked about 670 million. Indeed, it's 670, because there's also a Romanian national budget allocation, but the 500 million coming from InvestEU we will leverage to 2.8 billion. So this is the guarantee window only. In support, obviously, of SME and microfinance, micro enterprises, and so it's the competitive window, and it will be the sustainability, the climate window. So the member state compartment will focus on two guarantees only. I guess I have it better here, on two compartments only: the sustainability guarantee and the competitive guarantee. For 200 and 300 million respectively. We will design the product in a way that it will cover up to 80% of a portfolio of new loans to be created. So that is important. No refinancing, please. So no refinancing, it's new financing only. And refinancing means also from one bank to the other. It's not allowed. So it's new investments, new financing. Up to 80% of this new portfolio to be built up. And that's the beauty, it's a loan-by-loan guarantee. It's what we call internally an uncapped guarantee. So any loan included in this portfolio will be guaranteed to up to 80% on a loan-by-loan basis. And that obviously is a beauty for financial institutions, because for this part, they do get capital relief. And many other things. And this will help us, hopefully, to stimulate the financial sector to do certain things which they would not be prepared to do without us. And this is what I said before. The same is for competitiveness. So it's a green envelope, and to reinforce the competitiveness of Romanian SMEs is the second guarantee. As I said, the total is out of this 500 million is the 2.8 billion, which we would like to achieve only out of this particular envelope. So we are very comfortable that we can implement this with the first loss B, so to speak, providing a fairly thick cushion for the banks. Yeah, now I've talked a lot. And before we go to the signing ceremony, but in particular, my colleagues are here for Q&As. There will be a workshop later on where you do even a deeper dive than now. But if you had any questions, I would be happy to receive them and to answer them. Thank you very much.
So last chance, no question for Hubert? No. Yeah, thank you, Anna. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we have a mic, yeah.
Thank you. Does it work?
Hello. Yeah, it works.
Thank you.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Hubert. My name is Oana. I come from the Ministry of Finance. I work for the Secretary of State, Mihai Precup, who is responsible for the international financial institutions and also the public-private partnerships. My question is actually related to the Romanian Recovery Equity Fund, the one that you, along with the Ministry of European Funds, created. How optimistic are you about the market and about the success of this fund in Romania?
Yeah, thank you very much. Where should I start? I tell you, internally, I'm a bit an ambassador of market developments. I believe strongly, if you make a good offer to the market will come forward, and the market will accordingly react. We have seen this in the early years of what we called at the time, Ms. Hübner, Commissioner for DG Regio, developed this under Jeremy, where people in Luxembourg told me, Hubert, this is all crazy. You will never be able to develop an equity market in Greece or in Bulgaria, just to take a couple of neighboring countries. This is impossible. But not because I'm so smart, but because I'm just confident that entrepreneurship, if stimulated well and properly, will come forward. And the same, and sorry for being so long in my answer, the same I see in the applications we have received so far for the RRF Equity Romania. We have not only signed the agreement with the government, but we have done the call for expression of interest. And the interest indeed is very, very positive, very encouraging. Not only the number of applications we receive, but in particular the quality. And I guess that is the key. Obviously, what an investment like this takes from us, much more mentoring, structuring, helping the team, not only to come together, the structuring of the LPA, the Limited Partnership Agreement, which is the key document, helping the team in the fundraising, because at the end of the day, we will have to have 50% private participation. So often we are very deeply engaged in this, and we are a certain seal in order to make a deal work. So in this respect, I'm confident that not only we will make good investments, but that we indeed finally will help Romania to develop its capital market structure more in the direction which we have seen elsewhere. And I do trust, if we can count on continuous support by the government, that we can make something which is lasting, which is sustainable. So I'm very confident. Sorry for being so long, but I'm enthusiastic about it.
Wonderful to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No, it seems no. So we can end the Hubert's presentation with such a positive ending note on the future of the equity market in Romania. Thank you very much, Hubert. We are now ready to actually move to action and to sign the first InvestEU deal for the EIB Group in Romania. So I call to the stage Cristina Sindile, BTMIC CEO, and we applaud her. Thank you. You will sit, and then we will have some speeches. Okay. So we thought about combining the signature with the event. It's not very usual for participants to an event to witness the signature of the EIB Group. So I don't want to say that this is the big part of the event, but it's an important part for us, and we are happy to share with you. So I'm not sure, maybe we have shortened the finance contract not to look too heavy, but usually sorry. I usually try to be extremely fair. We are nice guys to work with, but I mean, it's a steep curve to get to us. Once you get business with us, you don't leave us. But so everybody always, the market kind of tell me, but Lara, you know, your finance contract, they have 50+ pages. I mean, how can you manage to have so many pages? But there is a lot of good in this finance contract, although they are long. So, yeah, Cristina, if you can show the... Da. Let's applaud. Congratulations. Cristina, you want to, I think I will give the floor first to Cristina to say a few words so we can change a bit with Hubert. You can pause a bit from the speech. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lara. Bună ziua! Trebuie să mărturisesc că ăsta a fost cel mai complicat moment din tot ce a însemnat acest contract de garanții pe care îl semnăm astăzi și de care o să beneficiem. Ne pricepem mai bine la partea de finanțare a afacerilor mici decât la partea asta de poze, dar mi-a plăcut partea asta artistică din spate. A fost ce trebuie. Mă bucur că suntem aici, atât eu cât și colegii mei din Tematic și din Banca Transilvania. Aș vrea să mulțumesc reprezentanților Comisiei Europene pentru faptul că vin cu astfel de inițiative atât de necesare pentru economia noastră. Aș vrea să mulțumesc și reprezentanților Băncii Europene de Investiții pentru felul în care au organizat acest eveniment și un gând cu totul special merge către Fondul European de Investiții pentru felul în care am colaborat până acum, în ultimii 5 ani, pentru felul în care am colaborat la acest agreement. Iar aici gândurile speciale merg către echipa de aici din față, pe care probabil o cunoașteți majoritatea din sală și care fac o treabă extraordinară într-un timp foarte, foarte scurt. Vara asta au stat după noi astfel încât să reușim să semnăm astăzi și a fost foarte bine. Tematic este despre afaceri mici. Tematic s-a născut de mai bine de 5 ani în cadrul Băncii Transilvania și Banca Transilvania, ca și principal finanțator al economiei în piață, a venit cu o linie strategică de susținere a afacerilor mici dintr-un motiv foarte simplu. Sunt foarte multe. Majoritatea entităților economice de la nivelul economiei este în această zonă, iar o dezvoltare durabilă a economiei este atunci când pornești de la fundație și fundația este în zona de afaceri mici. Venim după 5 ani în care am finanțat peste 20.000 de clienți. Pare puțin, gândindu-ne la 500.000 de afaceri mici care sunt la nivel de piață, este mult comparativ cu ceea ce se întâmpla cu 5 ani în urmă. 75% din ei au primul credit de business cu noi, ceea ce spune mult despre accesul la finanțare în zona asta, în piață. Ne bucurăm că intrăm într-un nou parteneriat. Cu nou contract ne propunem ca obiectiv să ajungem la mai bine de 7.000 de afaceri mici. Doar pe acest contract cu Fondul European de Investiții, obiectivele Tematic sunt mult mai mari pe următorii ani. Și ne bucurăm să avem parteneri de încredere și de nădejde și foarte determinați în a susține acest segment al economiei și de acum încolo. Mulțumim!
So, Hubert, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Cristina, thank you very much. Thank you for the trust. I guess we were able to build the trust starting with what we call the EEC, the European envelope for social investments. And you have proven to be a really strong partner. You have built up, only with our guarantee at the time, 7,000 loans. And if I look at the figures, they are very impressive. They are very impressive insofar as 90% of this portfolio of 7,700 loans has a turnover, an annual turnover of less than 100,000 euro. It's 36% are women-led enterprises and 81%, as was just said before, in our portfolio, it's 81% received the first financing ever. And I guess this is the real icebreaker. This is the real test. If you think of you as a private individual, you go to a bank and for the first time take out your personal loan. This is even more, right? A first corporate loan. And what that takes on guidance, making comfort, giving comfort, is you can't pay for this. And I'm so grateful to you personally, to your institution, but also to your parent company. And I'm looking forward to many good years in future cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me say one word to thank the person in the EIF, because I mean, after these deals, there is only one real person that from the EIF helps getting to this point. So Cristina Dumitrescu, that is with us today. She will not be happy, but she's really the master EIF person behind the microfinance deals in Romania, and we are very happy to have her so active in this market. I'm a transport engineer myself, and when I started in the EIB, I always wanted to go after the big deals, the big money. And now, after 20 years after my career, I actually very passionate about the added value of the small deals, and I'm really very committed to make sure that the market understand that we also work with small companies and even with very small companies, of course, through our partners, the financial intermediaries, in this case, BTMIC, but we actually are quite working with the majority of the institutions and non-financial institutions in the market. I think we have come to an end of the at least of the morning session. Let me just remind you that, of course, the presentation will be available on our website, but also I was asked from Brussels to remember that on 23rd November, this has been the launch event, but then we will organize a specific events on specific products. And already on the 23rd November, there will be an event organized by DG Grow, and also with the EIF involvement, because they are, as you heard from the speakers today, they are very focused on the SME segment of this InvestEU product. So there will be an event on the 23rd November organized for Romania for the SME window. A lot of EIF speakers and a lot of, let's say, specific sections on the specific windows. This will be an online event, and we will make sure to invite you and to spread the voice, but just for you to know that there will be an event on 23rd of November for Romania, organized by DG Growth, and of course we will do our part, so to say, hopefully. Thank you very much for joining this morning session. I remind you that in the afternoon we will have two workshops, one on the EIF, it will be in this room starting at 2 p.m. And one, it will be on the first floor in the Istanbul room for the venture debt and more project finance type of discussions. Any question is welcome, so don't be shy. And between now and the 2 p.m. when we will resume works, you are invited to join our networking lunch in the restaurant room, which is not just out of the door on the right. Thank you again for being with us today. We hope to work with you in future. Thank you very much. So now only if there is some press, we will have a restricted. Okay, so we will open it up later. Thank you very much for your participation.